want to speak my truth. And in a way, I can only speak my truth now. There's not that much. There is no other alternative, really. Because there's no other motives. At least they've become a lot more diluted. And the only reason I can say what I'm about to say is because that yearning to really be seen has died tremendously. I can't say it's completely zero because I just don't know. I cannot claim things in that way. It seems ridiculous to now. But if I were to compare how it was before, where I couldn't admit that that was even there, because it was me, and therefore it was shameful and embarrassing. It was hidden. It was never able to just be here. And so here I am now, on the apparent other side of this long, non-existent journey that first seemed to begin when I was born. And the older I got, the more I saw that my parents couldn't really see me. That's just how I felt at times. And I felt like I needed to change myself. And I yearned to be seen by my dad. And I tried all sorts of things. I tried to even be a man, because he would say things like, "You're the son that I've never had." And I started to feel like I was too sensitive because I would hear that I was too sensitive. And so trying to mold myself, trying to be something other than how I naturally am, just started to happen. And this happens for everyone. So it's no one's fault. I don't see anything wrong with any of that. It's just a story that I'm telling you. So there I am, sitting at the kitchen table. My dad was very stressed. We were never financially stable, and understandably, it's hard to be here in that kind of situation. And I remember feeling, "Look at me, pay attention to me, I'm here." And you know, over the years, understandably, since that need could not be fulfilled, I searched for it elsewhere because it was just there. And it wasn't really me that was doing that. It felt like me. But now I can see it was just an energy that's there. It's very impersonal. Everyone has it if they're being honest with themselves. And that's how the journey continues, searching for a man, for a partner to see me. And yet I could not see myself. I was not able to really own myself, be myself. And so how could another really truly see me? And so it was a losing game every time. So throughout all of this yearning for this attention and this fulfillment, this need to really be loved, so much stuff happened. So much stuff. I started to get out of touch with myself, and because of, we're largely conditioned to objectify ourselves, and we can't really escape that unless we die. And there was a massive objectification of this body and trying to get attention that way. And that's very normal. But in doing so, it definitely harmed me. It harmed the body a lot and got into situations that was not respectful, was not caring. And so since there's so much shame in society around sex, it's viewed as wrong. It's viewed as it should be hidden, not talked about. And so that's how I felt with my shame around this. It was more hidden, more taboo. There was something really wrong with me. And so I continued to just rot alone by myself. I barely told the people closest to me, if at all. So I was just there, suffering on my own, trying to bury it deep down. If I didn't need to admit to it, maybe it just didn't happen. And so later on, it wasn't a choice. It definitely was not a choice to reveal oneself, to come forth, to show who I really am. For some reason, perhaps it's because my body felt safe for once in its life, and it bared it all eventually. It still took a lot of time. But there was this unraveling that happened where it was just more and more honesty, layers and layers of it. And the full truth couldn't come out all at once. It just needed to come up layer by layer. And as it was expressed to someone that wouldn't judge, that would see it clearly, or as clearly as one can hope for, when sexual energy is just seen as energy, the same as hunger, the energy of hunger. No different. I think that we're scared. We're scared of this energy. It will not harm you. It cannot harm you. It cannot really harm others if you have deep down underneath the best intentions at heart. You know, if you don't mean to harm anyone, it's unlikely that you'll do much damage. And you know, in this emptying out process, it's not really a process, but you know what I mean. When it's so clear and empty, and sexual energy, which is just energy, when it's just seen, when it's just able to be here, it's so neutral. And then you also see the shame or guilt or this is bad, this shouldn't be, and the subtle suppression that might come with it. You see that too, for what it is. Then you remind yourself that it's a natural functioning of the body, just like eating, just like sleeping. How can that be bad? Why should that be ridiculed and punished? Because there's so much confusion out there, so much hiding, so much inability to be honest that lives internally within us as well. It just makes sense. Why would it be otherwise? So now, you know, with this natural ability to see it for what it is, to see it as it is, and to see nothing wrong with it, it softens. It can just express in a healthy way and dissolve when it does. And it seems like it's not as active anymore. I used to think that sexuality was a massive part of Suzanne, but nothing is permanent. Everything changes. And it's seen that as that wound of yearning to be seen the innocence of that, as it was allowed to be here more and more, to express, to just be, to just breathe, to see the light finally, over and over, as long as it took. And only through that did it soften. And there was no expectation. There was no need for it to soften anymore. It really didn't matter anymore. And with that softening, you see the absolute freedom of not needing, not yearning for attention, for the attention of another, to get another, to own another, to possess another, to need someone to feel safe anymore is just not needed. The feeling is drastic and unlike anything else. And I could not have ever imagined that, because I don't know if the person will ever experience that. I kind of doubt it. And I don't say that as that's just kind of what's seen. And this took a lot of apparent time. A lot. Because this is basically the deepest wounding. This is basically the deepest fundamental need, to be seen by the opposite sex, or whatever the configuration would be for you. It seems like just the deepest desire to have this intimate partnership. And it's also deeply ingrained in society that is attainable and you should chase it. So it's very strong. It's a very, very strong desire. But now that that's largely diminished, it doesn't mean that partnership can't happen in that way. It's just that it's not owned anymore and it's not needed anymore in that way. It would just be what it is. It would just be pleasant. It's nice to have support. It's nice to be connected in an intimate and loving, caring, respectful, gentle, neutral way. But now I can finally, it feels like I could finally see my dad clearly. And obviously he has changed over time as well. But I could see that he doesn't need to really entertain the story as much. Sure, he does still, but to a large degree he doesn't. And I could see deep down what was always there, that I could sense before but not really understand, because it wasn't enough for me. I needed more at that time, so I wasn't really able to see him. But now I can see he is so affectionate and tender and gentle and quite empty, just as he is beautiful, just as he is finally, in my eyes, he does not need to change. He does not need to be any different than how he is. And it's the same with my mom. I've never seen them so clearly just as they are, as pure innocence, as real beauty. Because the need and yearning and desire here for them to be what I need, what I desire, how they should be for me, that has died, that went, it's gone. And now they simply are just the way they are, just as I am the way I am. And there is no desire to change it, fix it. no grasping to fulfill it somehow externally. If anything, now there's just more of a natural, it's not expected, but a natural blossoming of what this is. I don't know if you could call it the character or it's just energy, but whatever is here, it's just able to blossom more because it is finally able to be its true self or itself or nothing. Nothing in particular, just whatever it wants to be right now. Simple as that. It's so simple, but impossible for the person to be that. It takes everything to get right here, where you started, where you never left. It takes everything.